I just want to clarify some terms because obviously inflation is a massive issue for Canadians and the interest rates that are rising to fight it. So when we talk about monetary policy and fiscal policy, just so I'm clear and everyone watching is clear, monetary policy, that's you. That's the Bank of Canada. You have tools at your disposal. You have interest rates. You have quantitative easing and tightening. But that's your department, I guess, is the safe procedure. Okay. Fiscal policy, that would be the government. That would be the government spending decisions, taxation, borrowing, all those types of things. So that's fiscal policy. Okay. So when you say that you control the monetary policy and one of your primary objectives as the Bank of Canada, and this is from your website, says we influence the supply of money circulating in the economy using a monetary policy framework to keep inflation low and stable. So that's your main goal, is to hit that target on inflation. So while you're using your tools, raising interest rates and tightening up the money supply, now you're saying that the fiscal policy, the government's policy, its spending policy, is not being helpful. Did I understand that correctly?
What I said was, over the past year, government spending at all levels, federal and provincial, looks, by our estimates, has grown at less than 2%, so has not been getting in the way of getting inflation down. Looking forward, our estimate is that it will grow slightly faster than supply. And against that background, yes, it could begin to make it harder to get inflation down.
So it's going to undo, and I take your point about the past is the past. We're here to advise the government.
On the future.
We're here to provide submissions for the fall economic statement and the budget. So going forward, increases in spending will make your job more difficult, will undo some of the work that you've done with interest rates.
It will definitely make it more difficult to get inflation down if all that spending is spent.
Thank you very much for that clarification. If you got to the target rate sooner, if you're able to get inflation down with these interest rate hikes that are affecting all Canadians with any kind of debt, mortgage, line of credit, if you got to that sooner, would you be in a position where you could start to consider lowering interest rates?
Yes, if inflation, the sooner we see clear evidence that inflation is headed back towards the 2% target, the sooner we can start discussing reducing interest rates. We don't need to wait until it's back to 2%, but we need to wait until we're clearly on a path till 2%.
And can you just remind the committee what your target is?
2%.
2%, okay. So you've already acknowledged that the carbon tax would be, you say 0.6% off inflation?
For 1 year.
Okay, but it is important to remember that inflation is cumulative, so it's not like you remove the carbon tax, inflation automatically pops up the year after that.
Well, prices are cumulative. Inflation is the rate of change of prices, so it falls out after a year.
Right. So I just think that's an important clarification. So do you have a target for government growth in terms of being helpful? You said the projected rate of government spending increases is unhelpful. Do you have a recommendation to the committee on where government spending growth could come in at, which would be more helpful?
Let me just be very clear. We have a big job. You have a big job. In fact, your job is a lot bigger than our job. You have a lot of priorities: healthcare, education, security, protecting the most vulnerable, and fiscal decisions are the decisions of government and Parliament.
If I could, because I'm very short on time.
In terms of,
I'm not asking you to tell us where to spend or how to spend, but just if you have a target growth rate.
So I think there's a few things you can look at, but
just looking for
I think you want to look at
the. You could just allow the governor, please, to answer.
So if you're looking at the direct contribution of government goods and spending on goods and services, we think the potential of the economy is growing at about 2%. So if it's growing less, at 2% or less, it's not adding undue inflationary pressures.
How much time do I have, Mr.
Yeah, about 10 seconds. But go, yeah.
Okay, I'll cede my time to that.
Okay, thank you.